Hammond City Council Public Hearing Agenda, January 23rd, 2024, 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilman Divatario.
Here.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilman Leon. Councilman Wells. Councilman Andrews.
Present. Public hearing item number 1.
An ordinance to approve an annexation request by James Marshall, Z-2023-10-00128, to annex 0.747 acres located on Tranquil Trace per survey by Max Bowden, Inc., dated 10/5/23, to be zoned RM5, District 4. Recommended approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
So I appreciate Andre carrying the water at the last meeting for this. The council introduced this item and introduced it with RS5 zoning. That is for single family category 5 zoning. Unfortunately, because we had kind of gone back and forth with different zonings, this was sent to the newspaper with RM2. That's multifamily 2. Which is not the same as how the council introduced it. So with the advice of Andre, we would ask for this to be tabled for tonight and re-advertised correctly how the council introduced it with that RS5. And then we're hoping to have a meeting date very quickly thereafter. I think, Andre, you looked it up, and the ordinance needs to lay over how long?
7 days. So we have time. If you were to move your meeting back, scheduled for Mardi Gras now, but move it back that week, it would be time for advertising, to have it finally have a public hearing and finally adopt it at that meeting.
That would also help expedite this case due to a technical error.
Okay, so we're gonna table this item until, and that meeting date will be February 15th.
I would ask if the council, is there any way that you all could agree to meet earlier than that?
That's
Oh,
the same. That's the same
It's
week.
the same
That's
week.
2
Thir-
days later.
I know, but so you cannot meet on February 13th because that is Mardi Gras Day and a holiday for the city of Hammond. So you have to find a different meeting time. According to the calendar, we would have enough time to actually advertise and get this into the newspaper and have the layover of 7 days if you met the week prior to that time period. So the 6th or the 7th or the 8th that week. The 6th is a Tuesday, I believe.
I think what you decided, Kip, were you?
I mean,
Me.
okay. It would have to be another day that week that I have Bible study scheduled on that night.
I don't know if the 7th or the 8th would
What,
work.
so,
7th or the 8th will work for me.
I mean, that's fine. Whatever,
Okay. We'll go with the 7th.
Okay. I appreciate that because I know it'll help everybody involved with this case.
So we're tabling this item until February the 7th, 2024. Can I get a motion?
Yeah, you don't really need to make a formal
Motion,
motion.
okay.
What we'll do is when it comes up for final adoption on the agenda, that's when you'll make a motion.
All right. Okay. All right, Hammond City Council regular session, January 23rd, 2024, 5:34 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilman Andrews.
Present.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilman Divatario.
Present.
Councilman Leon. Councilman Wells.
Stand for our prayer, please. Most gracious, loving Father, we thank you on this evening. We enter into your court with praise and thanksgiving on today. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that you continue to guide us, continue to keep us, and continue to protect us from all hurt, harm, and danger. We thank you tonight, Father, that everything will be done decent, order, pleasing in your sight. Therefore, you will get all glory, all the honor, and all the praise. I ask that you can continue to bless each and every one of us that are here on tonight. Continue to bless each council member, their family. Continue to strengthen the district that they serve in right now. Father God, I ask you to continue to bless our mayor, the administration, continue to bless our fire department, our police department right now, Father God. Every city employee, continue to give them health and strength right now. We ask that you continue to bless our city, continue to help us to guide to move forward. We give you thanks in that area. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
At this time, I ask that all military, active, and veterans, please render the proper salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get approval of our minutes from January the 9th, 2024 meeting, please?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Down to final adoption of an ordinance.
Make a motion to table that till February 7th, 2024 at 5:30 PM.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye. Okay, introduction of an ordinance, number 1.
Introduction of an ordinance to amend the UDC regarding the definition of group living. Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Yes, thank you. This, after reviewing the UDC, it appears very obvious that the homeless shelter is not defined, is not a defined term in the UDC within the appendix, any of the definitions. It seems potentially someone could say that it falls under group living. So this ordinance that I have drafted with I have reviewed it with other people in the city, exempts the homeless shelter from group living, and it gives it its actual definition. Yep, Lacey has it up there. So that I didn't make that homeless shelter definition up. That comes from other people who know important things like that. And so this is just cleaning up the UDC. The goal is to basically begin the conversation on how the city wants to gain input into permitting, regulating, approving homeless shelters, allowing something to find zoning of use under some ambiguous language like group living. I think that's not in the public's best interest. So this is cleaning up an issue that's been raised, and as all changes to the UDC, I request that we send it to Planning and Zoning for their review so that they can give us their recommendations on it.
Anyone from the public on this item?
So I kind of got it late. I think I got it on Monday when I received it. So I hadn't really had a good enough time to really digest everything on there, and I think it's an important, pretty serious definitions here for some topics that are important to the city, and I think we having a little, maybe another look at this would be good, since we haven't had it on there. We haven't had homeless shelters or anything, and it's definitely something that I think would take some time to look at, to make sure that we have the right language, and maybe even a third party attorney looking at it to make sure there's no other issues creating it right now. Andre, have you looked at this proposal here?
Yes.
Or did you work on it too? Or
No, I reviewed it. It was
Okay.
sent to me, and all this does is just provide a definition for homeless shelter that doesn't now exist. And as Councilwoman Gonzalez said, you could perhaps argue or advance that it comes under group living, but I don't know that that would fairly be under how we style group living now. So this just, I think, cleans it up. It opens a discussion. It's got to go to planning and zoning for their review. It's going to have public scrutiny at multiple stages. But yes, sir, I did review this.
So right now, a little bit off subject, but on subject, the moratorium in multifamily right now, at that meeting that we had, it seems like it was more the homeless shelter that's in the works right now, that they would have actually efficiency apartments and living there. So to me, I would think, what classifies that not multifamily at that point in time?
Well, I can't answer for that, but I do know it was brought up with that ordinance. It did have homeless shelters, and there was no definition for that. And I think there was some kind of other definition group that we didn't have a definition for.
You know, the original, we're talking about the moratorium?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know they had amendments to it that added transits and all group homes and other living, and then that was vetoed, taken out. But then the current moratorium with multifamily, what defies a homeless shelter of that magnitude there, different from actual multifamily living that we have right now, that to me, I would assume it reads to me that it could be covered underneath the moratorium that's currently in place right now.
It might. I have not specifically looked at that question.
Okay.
First of all, I don't know that an application's been submitted. I don't know what has been done with the project, so really, it really has not come.
Can we confirm that and look at that then a little? Can you look at that a little closer with?
Once an application's submitted, I'll have a better idea of what their project is.
Okay.
Right? And then we can figure out under that project, would that come under what might be covered by the moratorium?
Okay.
So we're looking to introduce this to be sent to planning and zoning, and then come back to us with their recommendations if there are any.
Yeah. Okay. I think that there's a lot of definitions in the UDC that need a look at, but this was one that is timely. And just to note, group living, I didn't create that. That comes from the UDC with just one addition, which is A, homeless shelters as defined. It exempts homeless shelters from group living. And then I've just added a homeless shelter. I'm perfectly capable and able of hearing other people's definitions to homeless shelter. If planning and zoning wants to come back and say, oh no, you need to add this language, or there's a time basis or something like that. But this gets something moving, which I think is important, and it's been feedback from the public that is needed.
Okay. Anyone else from the public on this item? Okay. Pleasure of the council.
Motion to introduce.
To public.
Be sure that's to introduce and send it to planning and zoning for their recommendation.
Correct.
Motion to introduce and send to planning and zoning for their recommendation.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Aye.
Councilman Divatario,
Abstain.
Councilman Leon,
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye. Resolution number 1.
A resolution to authorize the Hammond, Ponchatoula, Sunriser Rotary Club to sell, serve, or otherwise handle alcohol, beer only, on Saturday, February 3rd, 2024, from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. for the chili cook-off within the downtown parking lots on the west side of the railroad tracks and bounded by Coleman Avenue, Railroad Avenue, Morris Avenue, and the railroad tracks. John Daniel Gurian.
Nope, that's not him.
Good evening, council. I'm sitting in for John Gayran. He couldn't make it tonight. My name is Joseph Dominic. I am the president of the Hammond Ponchatoula Sunrisers Rotary, and we are asking for you to approve that resolution so that we can hold that event. This is the 4th year in a row that we've had it in downtown Hammond. It's been a pretty successful event. I'll answer any questions you may have.
Anyone from the public have a question or comment on this particular item?
It's always a good event. You guys do a good job of monitoring, doing wristbands, all that good stuff. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Okay. Resolution number 2.
A resolution to authorize the Hammond Ponchatoula Sunriser Rotary Club to receive a waiver of open container on Saturday, February 3rd, 2024, from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. for the chili cook-off within the downtown parking lots on the west side of the railroad tracks and bounded by Coleman Avenue, Railroad Avenue, Morris Avenue, and the railroad tracks. Joseph Dominic.
You have any questions related to this? Same thing.
I just have one question. You need somebody to come sample the chili?
We are selling wristbands for $10 a piece, and you can eat all the chili you want. Like the judge, you can let me know about that.
All right.
I got a couple of spots still open.
Okay. All right. All right. Pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Joey.
Thank you.
Resolution number 3.
A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into an amendment of the rail spur lease with Graham Packaging to extend the term for an additional 3 years. Lacey Landrum.
These are the same terms that we have already entered into with Graham Packaging, and the next one is going to be with Home Depot, who do use the Hammond City Spur. We have been generating approximately, I'll round up just a little bit, it's $129,860, so about $130,000 annually for this. This has covered both our expenses in inspections of that spur. The railroad inspector looks at the track, the signals, and the bridges, and it also covers any repairs that need to be made, including, whether it's an emergency repair or a regular repair. We regularly replace the cross ties and some other aspects of that railroad, but that's what our monthly inspection does, is kind of point out what's going to need priority repairs versus what can kind of be deferred, and we plan that out accordingly. But as you've seen in your budget binders over the years, we seem to have hit a good space. The 2 providers are interested in renewing, and they are amenable to the same terms if the council is also.
Anyone from the public on this item? Any questions or concerns from anyone on the council? If not, pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
And Councilman Andrews.
Aye. Resolution number 4.
A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into an amendment of the rail spur lease with Home Depot to extend the term for an additional 3 years. Lacey Landrum.
Same thing as the one that we just did. This is to renew it with not Graham Packaging. We just did that one. This is to renew with Home Depot.
Anyone from the public on this item? Anyone from the council? Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Leon?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution number 5.
A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Student Organization for Aeronautics Robotic Research, Inc., a nonprofit corporation, also known as SOAR, S-O-A-R-R, for the use of approximately 15 acres of Club Deluxe Road. Chris Fox.
Good
Good evening, Chris.
I come before you to ask permission for the property. Lacey, you can give me the first slide. This property is on C.M. Fagan Drive, directly in front of the sewer plant. It's been used at the grace of the city for the last 7 years for a radio control flying club and for training. On that facility, we have held 5 astro camps from the recreation department, numerous flight trainings and provisions to train anyone interested in radio control aircraft. Next slide, please. A little close-up, you can see the availability of open airspace, and for safety purpose, there's not a lot to hit out there. And next slide. The area that we are most interested in is in the center of the field. There are currently 3 runways, a carport we're using for a hangar, and a single rocket launch pad there. We also have the Confederate Air Force using the property now. I'm sorry, the Commemorative Air Force. Can you give me the next slide, please? I've already talked with my supervisor at NASA. We're going to introduce the NASA Stennis Space Center AstroCamp Aviation and Aerospace Field Operations Center. This will be a 4x8 sign placed at the property to let people know that NASA has come to Hammond. We're hoping that this will inspire the youth as well as provide future educational opportunities. Next slide, please. This is the current facility layout. There's an east-west runway, a full-scale helipad, which is used by the Commemorative Air Force to land their 1950s vintage helicopter, the hangar. And then if you look at the orange arrow to the right, that is an FAA digital fence. This is projected by the FAA into the area to let people know that they are on an FAA site. And with the more modern drones and aircraft on their transmitter, it will actually project an image on the screen, and as soon as they have permission, which gives us more control over the airspace in the area. We're approximately 4.7 miles from the Hammond Airport and under the 5-mile protective umbrella, giving us a ceiling of maximum of 400 feet. Next slide, please. As far as SOAR, SOAR's a 501c3. We're dedicated to science and technology. We are part of another group which has about 40 vendors practicing on the North Shore in all types of science and technology. I'm proud to say we're one of the few that actually deal in aviation. We are training our young for careers in NASA and trying to spike their interest in all the sciences. Next slide. I'm going to go over this quick. I got an annual budget of $5,000. I don't take federal grants. We are supported totally by local business. And one of my favorite sayings is, my God, Hammond has heart. There are some wonderful, generous people in this community. We're also listed in good standing with the Louisiana State Secretary of State. Our focus is underserved, high-grade students. Students that are doing well and have the opportunity to exceed and succeed in their career of choice. Next. These are our supporters, and you'll see these are primarily local businessmen who have been exposed to some of our operations and outreach programs and found that they want to invest money in our city and in our youth. I want to thank them. Next slide, please. Okay. We are an active member. This is going to be quick, Lacey. You ready? We're an active member or instructor in the following programs: NASA and NASA AstroCamp. These are 60 different programs that are available to teach our kids everything from earth science to going to Mars. Next. Solar System Ambassadors deals with the science within our own solar system and with the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. LSTEM is the state group over the colleges in our area. And we are proudly serve the LSTEM effort in our state to upgrade our educational system. AMSAT is amateur radio in space. These are ham radio operators. There is a ham radio on the ISS flying overhead as we speak. We are part of that system, and we bring kids in to become radio broadcasters through the amateur radio system. We're also a member and instructor in the National Association of Rocketry. Next. We're part of the Museum Alliance. We actually have flown items from NASA, and we're a proud partner with the North Shore STEM Coalition. This is a group of about 60 vendors. They go out and teach our kids all the wonderful things about science. And next. I'm also an instructor in AMA and in underwater ROV training. And you can go, I want to do this kind of quick. To round out our camps, I became an instructor in wildlife and fisheries and national archery in schools. So that includes in our summer camps at Hammond Rec. And we like to teach fishing. with the National Weather Service moving its facility. And Pete, am I right? They're moving the whole facility or just the radar? Just the radar. But we're engaged with the National Weather Service. We do meteorological experiments, and we do a robotics program with Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Next. This is the important one. The Aerospace Education Civil Air Patrol. I am now part of the Louisiana wing. We have a $1.5 million grant available to teachers that we are promoting. The use of this field will allow me to have these teachers order STEM kits, and I'll be able to take the kids out there and actually use them. These will be drones, aircraft, and basic aerodynamics, basics of flight and engineering, as well as the U.S. Coast Guard, that is the auxiliary, which is supporting this effort. These are the Hammond City civic organizations. I'm on the board for a couple with track, having to deal with juvenile use of substances and alcohol. And we regularly do programs with all of these different organizations. Okay, in fact, there we go. Who's using the space now? We have 4 aerial survey companies operating drones, commemorative Air Force. CAP has been offered the use of National Rocket Association. Y'all can have a list. I hate to read slides out when I'm doing a presentation. But those are the groups, including what will now be the Hammond RC flying team. The community service, I'm going to show you the list. Y'all can run down. It's pretty extensive. I didn't put everybody in there. And next slide. And one picture is worth 1,000 words. My favorite is the little boy. He actually flew the aircraft down to the lower right corner. Next slide. Our Pegasus Mobile Aviation Lab, which is here for your inspection, is a retired Acadian ambulance, completely outfitted with flight simulators, space shuttles, simulators, 20 microscopes, 8 telescopes. It even has a detector for radiological sources. Those are some of the things that we carry on board. That's not all of it. Okay, and next, our recent acquisition. This is going to be fun. This 30-foot long, 20-foot wide inflatable space shuttle that the kids can go inside. Next slide. Okay, our underwater robotics program, 200 students over 2 years, 68 robots. Team 1, which was Covington High School, their first year under my tutelage, went to international competition. That is offered here in the city of Hammond as well, and we've done 2 at the Hammond Rec Center. Okay, here's our underwater robotics program. These kids actually solder and wire the entire system. Okay, and next, I'll give you a little look at the underwater. Okay, our aviation program, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on. It's extensive. We've trained a number of kids, and along with the aviation program, we have 20 flight simulators that are used at the Hammond Rec Center, a visit to our airport, a visit to our National Guard. Next. To round it out, I'm also an instructor in wildlife and fisheries for the topics up there. And next slide. And that's us just having fun. I want to remind you too, Academy Sporting Goods comes out and supports us in our fishing program, which is great to have our local businesses. Okay, and that's one of our photos from the NASA Astro Camp. Okay, and next. We provide astronomy in the area. The field will be used for astronomical observations, including the big solar eclipse coming this April. Earth Sciences and Environment, I have spent a minimum of 4 weeks in 4 different high schools and junior highs teaching Earth Sciences. That's some of the students from Pine School. There's a list of what we have contributed to the community thus far. Many of those were 2, 3, 4, and 5-day events. Some of them went on for weeks, some just for hours. But to date, that's kind of kept me a little busy. And there's some more public events. Okay. When I started SOAR, I looked at what I was faced with as a child. I was from a big family. And I had an extremely high IQ. Nobody knew it. I got in a lot of trouble. I'm going to tell you, I was a pain in the butt. Nobody knew. Today, I'm looking for those kids that are underserved, whose parents can't afford college, I'm looking for them. I want the hungry ones. I want the kids that stand up and say, I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm right behind them. We don't ask for donations. The people that support me are investing in our community. Next slide, please. SOAR believes in this, igniting passion and launching dreams. We need this field. We need exclusive use of it for the safety and for the control, for the improvements that I have planned for it. We need this field so that we can have a place to practice, and I need exclusive control because of late, we've had radio control flyers come out knowing it's public land and fly unsafe. We hold a $1.5 million insurance policy on this field. We also hold individually through Academy of Model Aeronautics a $1 million policy on each of the flyers. They were flying without insurance. They were flying without training, and there was nothing I could do about it. They flaunted in my face, it's public land, you can't stop me. And we've also had incidents of drug use in the portalet. It's gone so far as to find, of all things, a press pump in the portalet. And we need that control to ensure a safe and wonderful environment for our kids and a place where our kids can go for this particular training. And it's not a playground. It's not a playground. It's a field of science that I'm looking for. I want to thank you for your time. Next slide, please.
Chris, I will say that I've watched you since you started, and your persistence and your passion and what you're doing has been I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of the organization you've built. I know you accept donations, but I would suggest you ask as well. And also grants, if people will help you write them, because that's free dollars that maybe the federal or state government can give you, so, or other organizations. But you're doing a good job, and proud of what you've done.
I leave the grants for others that need it. We're able to operate on $5,000 a year. And of course, you know, by the way, we cut the grass and maintain the field. Because of the size of the wheels on our aircraft, it's got to be cut short. So it usually looks like a golf course out there. This summer has taken its toll on the field. The other thing later, I'd like the time to come up and discuss the possibility of putting on the first annual Let's Go Fly a Kite Day at that field. I think it would be wholesome. I'm sorry, Pete got me, I'm choking up. I love what I do. I truly do. I need this field to further what we're doing. And I need exclusive use of it so I can keep people that would be detrimental to my students away. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for the presentation. That was very well done. Appreciate you taking that much time.
Thank you for the time. I think I have a 3-minute timer.
Andre, is there a donor, being a donor to his group, does that prohibit me from voting on this? I didn't honestly know my husband's name was about to be up there, and I didn't know he was a consistent donor, so I want to just make that clear
So
before.
are you or your husband getting any financial benefit?
No.
You don't receive anything from it.
No.
You're giving, not receiving.
Correct, okay.
So I don't see an issue.
If I might add, Dr. Gonzalez is one of the reasons this program is growing.
But we,
He's right here.
but we get nothing from it.
Nothing.
Okay.
Occasional cupcake.
Okay. All right. Anyone else from the public on this item? I think this is an excellent program.
And Andre, you did the cooperative endeavor agreement and reviewed it?
Yes, and it
Everything's-
does require insurance, which we've talked about.
Yes.
It does require the mayor's approval before any improvements are done to the field. It's got an easy out, actually, for the city if it's not working out.
Yeah,
We can extricate it. Nobody's expecting it, but that's in here.
yes.
But yes, ma'am, it's something I've prepared.
Any other questions or concerns on this item? If not, pleasure of the council.
Make a motion approved.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Aye.
Councilman Leon,
Aye.
Councilman Divatario,
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Fox.
Thank you.
Resolution number 6.
A resolution, one, accepting $12,817 grant from the Edward Bourne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program to purchase portable radios for the Hammond Police Department, and 2, authorizing the mayor or his designee to complete and sign related documents. Lacey Landrum.
I feel like I'm back in the old days presenting grants. These are 2 good things. The first one, we are accepting a grant tonight. We have received the award letter. The contract is still in process, so we won't bring it again, but this did come originally before the council in August of 2023 for this same scope of the portable radios. So we're just asking for permission to go ahead and enter into the agreement once that is received so that we can move forward with the purchase of the radios.
All right. Anyone from the public on this item? Pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Diviterio.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Resolution number 7.
A resolution supporting the submission of a $45,000 application to the Traffic Safety Grant Program for impaired driving, occupant protection, and juvenile underage drinking enforcement. Lacey Landrum.
This is an annual grant opportunity that we apply for. We typically receive about this same amount, $45,000 or so. It assigns off-duty officers to overtime hours. So the overtime is paid through the grant. There's no equipment or anything else that's really purchased through this. It's just the officers' overtime hours. It does enforce safe driving through, and they'll do checkpoints for seatbelt use, for DWI compliance, and then they'll also do underage drinking compliance by both checking the bars and who is around and purchasing drinks and drinking drinks, and they'll go to the convenience stores as well and put in and see who is available and eligible to purchase there. And there's no match on this.
Anyone from the public on this particular item? Pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Diviterio.
Aye.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
All right. Resolution number 8.
A resolution to approve a request by WDG Estates for a variance from the moratorium ordinance originally adopted as ordinance number 22-5668 and extended by ordinance number 23-5723 to allow for 6 units instead of 4 units at 300 South Oak Street. Lacey Landrum.
This is the first time that we have had a case come before us requesting a variance from the moratorium ordinance. So I did include in the staff packet the considerations under the ordinance. There are 4 of them that the council should consider when deciding whether they want to grant this variance or not. I believe probably the one that most applies to this situation would be probably number B, where a multifamily project is in the public interest for that particular area and will not disturb the character of the neighborhood. So that is the question before you. That is what Mr. Williams put forward in his statement. As part of your packet, we tried to provide some supplemental information so that you could make your decision, kind of seeing the character of the neighborhood and seeing what is all around it. So as before in your standard packets, you have the zoning of the north, south, east, and west properties, which are varied between MXC, RM2, and MXCBD. And the one that's to the east is actually a vacant lot, but from that vacant lot, there is also a 5-unit apartment building that's visible. But to clarify, that is not that lot, so I wanted to make sure that was clear. The next page of your staff report has all the listings of the surrounding properties that go both directions along South Oak and then along Edwin Neal. Since that's the cross street, this lot is actually at that intersection of 300 South Oak and Edwin Neal. So it's right there on the corner. This was formerly a building that was demolished, and like many on that 300 block of South Oak, we've had several demolitions of buildings there that have gone from basically 2016 to the current, and each one then being redeveloped into multifamily apartment style living. So there's some description of all the different photos, and we tried to include on there about how many units, so you would have an idea about density in that area. We also included in the packet what has been provided to the city in terms of renderings of this project and what is proposed in terms of the 3 duplexes on this lot. There's also the garages, which would indicate that there is enough parking. It would be tandem parking. So that is all the information that we have. We've included a zoning map and an aerial to kind of show you the general area so that you get that idea. And then Mr. Williams is here tonight and available to answer any questions.
What did the zoning board, planning and zoning, their vote was to?
They voted, that is also included in your packet on page 2. Thank you, Councilman DiVittorio. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. They voted to deny the variance. They voted 3 to deny. Then there were 2 commissioners who were absent.
Okay.
Jacob Williams, 211 South Cypress Street. So by requesting this variance, we are requesting that on the basis that we don't plan on disturbing the character of the neighborhood as it is currently. Like Lacey said, it's majority multifamily right now, and we're just wanting to get a variance to build an additional 2 units than what we already would be able to. The plans that we have currently fall within every restriction of the UDC, including density. So the only thing that's prohibiting us from building 6 units is the moratorium.
Well, I guess my comment there is right now it's zoned for 4, maximum of 4 to put it on that lot, which it wouldn't even need a variance from the moratorium we have in place right now. It's not stopping you from building on that parcel because you can build 4, which moratorium affects 5 or more. So I just want to make that clear that, hey, I'm glad to see you building an area. I'm glad to see you putting something new in the area, and there is a lot of multifamily, but it's zoned for, which you could have started building last week or whenever you wanted to, because it's zoned for 4. So that's kind of I want to make sure that that's pretty clear, is that the moratorium is not affecting that particular lot, because it's zoned right now to build up to 4 maximum. So 6 wouldn't even.
I don't think that's correct. If it weren't for the moratorium, they could do 3 duplexes, but the moratorium requires 4, and so, or only
the
2.
moratorium is stopping them to do 6.
Right,
Yes,
but
the
for
lot.
the moratorium,
Yeah.
which is why we're
Yeah.
here, the moratorium stops them from doing what they could have done 2 years ago. So
Well, what I'm saying is the lot only is zoned for 4. You
No.
couldn't put
No,
6 on there.
the lot is zoned MXN,
Yeah.
which is mixed neighborhood.
How many duplexes can you fit on that lot? It was 4 from what I was told. Four total units on that 50 by 150 in the planning and zoning meeting was the max, and they would need a variance to put 6 on that lot.
They need a variance because there's a moratorium
Yes.
that prohibits anything above
6.
4.
Prohibits is 6 right here. But the lot is a 50 by 150, and you can build 4 units on it right now.
You could
And you
build
wouldn't need a variance to a moratorium.
that. I think I understand what you're saying, but I want to be clear
Okay.
that it's not zoned to have a maximum of 4.
Well, yeah.
We don't have a zoning that has a maximum
Well,
of 4.
For what he's trying to build on there, it would fit 2 duplexes right now. Could you build 2 duplexes on there right now without, were you going to need any variances to put 3 duplexes on that lot? Can you?
We wouldn't need any variances if there was no moratorium in place. The UDC restrictions for that zoning allow us to build 6, or you could really build more than 6 based on the zoning restrictions of that. The only thing that is stopping us currently is the moratorium.
So I got to get clear on that, because that's not what, it was 3 duplexes. The way they're drawn up right now would not fit on there properly. Now, you can do a connected building and put more than units, but as far as the plans that lay out here, I don't see where that's correct. So, I mean, I could be wrong, but that's not what was discussed in the planning and zoning meeting that we had the other night. And so, yeah, so.
No, what was published on the agenda and what was discussed is that the need for a variance is because there's an existing moratorium. Right now at MXN, he could build an apartment complex. So it could be more than 4 units if there wasn't the moratorium.
What I'm referring to, the plans that were submitted right here, a way what he's building there would not fit on that 50 by 150 lot in all the, he would need another variance on that. That's all I'm getting at right now, on what he provided on there.
Everything that we have on there currently has been designed around the UDC and all the restrictions that go into that. So that design right there fits on the lot and is in compliance with all the restrictions for that zone.
So whenever this came up, and I'm sorry I missed planning and zoning, I was there, but it lasted longer and I had to leave. But before you and I talked, and before I was ready to say whether or not I was for this or not, my very first question is, but for the moratorium, could you do this? Did you need a variance for the trees? Did you need a variance for parking? And I've confirmed both with you and with planning and zoning that no, there is no variance that would be needed for what you have submitted, but for the moratorium. So the moratorium was put in place. We've had a lot of discussion about whether it was for apartment buildings or duplexes or how many units and whatnot. And my problem, and I voted consistently against the moratorium, is that it was going to come against somebody like you, who's not building a 50-unit apartment, which is what we had the outrage to. We have someone who's trying to build a better property, a better project in an area in which it already sits, in which our zoning is already is allowing for it. It fits the character of the neighborhood. I think that's very clear with what's there. All of the recent development that has been there has just uplifted that neighborhood, made it look better. It's close to downtown. This is a high rental area. There's so many reasons why I think it fits. But again, the very first question, which is confirmed, is but for the moratorium, you can do what you want right here that you've presented, not anything you want, but what you presented. And I think that 100% meets the consideration for the council to look at of whether to lift the moratorium of where multifamily project is in the public interest for that particular area, which is that block of South Oak, and it will not disturb the character of that neighborhood, which I think is very clear that it does not. So this is my district. I'm fully in support of this. If you come back and you need some other rezoning or variance or something like that, and what I've been told is wrong, that's going to be a problem. But you're going to be stopped in that process if you need something else, right? This is just to allow you to move forward. You technically don't even need a site plan in these beautiful renderings of what you have, because this process of this moratorium makes it real difficult for you to even approach the idea of doing this, because you don't even know if you'll get past us to go forward. So I commend you for pushing forward in this difficulty.
I think it's a great addition. You know, when you look at that block and you look at the area in Hammond, it really finishes off that block, and it's certainly a great improvement for that area. And that's what we're trying to do, is trying to make Hammond look beautiful like it is. And anytime we can do something to enhance it, I think that's a great thing.
Also, if I could add, I don't think you presented your case well to planning and zoning. You had one paragraph. I understand it was about hardship, economic. That's not what your reasons are. Your reasons are it fits the neighborhood, and I don't think you articulated that well. It was a 3-person planning and zoning, so I'm okay with going against what they've recommended, because I don't think that they fully understood and were presented what they needed to understand to make a proper ruling.
With Lacey too, who was at the planning and zoning meeting, apparently I maybe came off as needing a financial hardship, but that's not the intention at all. We don't, that's not what we're trying to get here. We want to put money in this lot, and we're not really worried about the return. I've lived here for a while. I came play football at Southeastern for a while, and I love my time there. And a lot of my teammates left after they graduated to go back to their homes, wherever that may be. be, but just trying to contribute to the city and provide good housing that attracts young professionals and people, maybe entice people to stay here or move here in the future.
I would just like to add a caveat that, you know, until we have a site plan, until we have full construction plans, and you know, there may be a technicality that comes up or something else, but this would not be a carte blanche, you go forward and tomorrow we issue building permits. So just to be clear, there still would go through the full process of review and all that would be submitted.
Because the moratorium prevents someone from even asking.
That's correct. So the moratorium language itself prevents submitting applications, preventing site plans, presenting all those things.
Well, I wish we had a city planner here tonight to really confirm this, because when I went over in that planning and zoning, they said you couldn't fit 3 of those without having a variance in there when we discussed that at planning and zoning. So that was where that concern was coming from there on not being able to fit those on there without needing some type of variance on there. So that's kind of a little mishap right there if that is the case, which you know. And then another thing is, yeah, the plans and everything else, yeah, you're spending money, but to get a variance and not knowing if you're going to get approved or not, but it's, you know, it's cost of doing business. I understand how we did that before, but asking variances without actually seeing on paper the actual planned project and everything else and needing a variance, it would be a lot better if you had the plans drawn out already. I understand if the city doesn't require that right now, but you're asking a variance. And therefore, if you saw everything on paper to scale and everything else, it would be a lot better. It would be a lot easier to make a good, clean-cut decision on whether to support it, not support it, or if there is going to be any issues or not. So, yeah, you may get denied, but then, you know, I mean, what I'm getting at in the future, we kind of got off rail with the variances. It's like you're asking for a variance, and you're not requiring the applicant to have any plans on paper because it's a costly could be costly to them, but they could also do it, the plans that fits within whatever is required in there. But that's the risk they take for doing that. So therefore, if you're promoting that with no cost, any energy involved in it, then everybody can ask for whatever they want to ask all the time. So that's a problem that do we have any fees on variance applications? Is there any?
Yes.
What is the fee on that?
I don't remember offhand. I could go look it up. I'm sure it's on this application somewhere. But I would just like to point out, too, for consideration.
Okay. I was just curious, yeah.
The moratorium language right here.
Yeah.
This is a part of where we were really had kind of difficulty. And I understand what you're saying, Councilman, and it would help if they could be able to apply and actually submit documents. But in the language of the moratorium, it actually says that no applications, can be accepted. So that's part of our challenge, is that we can't accept development plans, all these things. So if we could accept something and then consider it and have that as supporting documentation, I think it would enable better decision making. You may still go one way or the other. I'm not saying that. I'm saying just to have more information at hand might be really helpful.
Some of those plans submitted in that packet are to scale and on that lot, so it kind of shows exactly the plans that we have and kind of proves that they do fall into those restrictions.
So all of the same information we're looking at was the same information that was provided to planning and zoning on the 11th?
No, all that they saw was this. All they got was that one page. That.
So this is
That's all they saw.
Which, I don't know why they didn't see everything. So, I mean, it's a planning and zoning board. They should have had a lot of information on there. They're making recommendations. So we need to give them information in time for them to review things and look at things.
Because it was his request, and so we've never had a request for a variance.
I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know right now, Carly. I was at that meeting, And there was a lot of information that board did not get in time and everything else, and it was lack of, and it's nothing against them, but they had issues coming up that were approving buildings with no parking lots that were designed for them. They had a lease down the road and all kind of other issues that creating it, and they were trying to work through it at the meeting. So there's a problem with unorganized presentation for them. These are important boards. Planning and zoning is an important board. It's not stopping growth, but it's planning your city. Just like we have, the homeless shelter that's coming up in the middle of the city, coming off the entry of the city. Planning ahead locations of things throughout your city, developing your city, growing forward is important. To take your time, plan right, look at things, and grow, and not just slap it all in there and rush it and don't say no to anybody. It's not about saying no, it's about doing it the right way and making sure things are done properly and making sure that the city grows continuing the right way and not having a problem then trying to fix it.
I'll just add that this is, again, just asking for them to move forward to then get approval in all of the ways in which we plan, we have rules for development. If they don't get a variance from the moratorium, they don't even get to go ask for those things.
And that was,
This is just to allow them to even move forward to meet all of our requirements, which are already there.
well, and that was where the comments came up at that meeting, was about it not being able to fit 6 units on there properly without needing a variance. So therefore, as far as the moratorium, it really wasn't geared towards the applicants, like you. But like I said, how it was discussed at that night, it was stated that it would only fit 4 of what you had, proposed, and not 6 units, 3 buildings. So you would need another one. So that's why I was feeling the way, I did on this, because, it's not, the moratorium would have been irrelevant because you could still do your project with 4 and it would fit without any needing variances. So
Then we should approve this and let them go ask for the variance if they need it for 6 units. That they still got to go through the process.
So, let me be clear. This is the only thing that was provided to,
I have just pulled
planning.
up the planning and zoning agenda. So that was the planning and zoning agenda. It was listed as a variance. It was requested by WDG Estates to recommend a variance from the ordinance, which is the moratorium ordinance. What is linked to here was his statement.
same letter right here, okay.
There's no other attachments. This was it.
So Carla, who told you it fits on there? You asked somebody if it fits on there already?
Talked to Lacey, who confirmed it with our city planner.
Okay, all right.
Our architect has worked with the planning administrator pretty thoroughly since the summertime to develop those plans according to the UDC.
And then the other people, from my understanding, again, I wasn't there, is that the council, that they had also people saying that they were opposed to it because of density, so, being Sam. So I think that would probably stand pretty hard with someone who was a planning and zoning.
What's that?
A council member got up and said that they were against it. But that's my understanding, I could be wrong.
What was that you're saying?
That you said at the meeting that you were against the variance because of density.
I was
I could be wrong.
against about putting 3 because I was told that it wouldn't fit on it without needing a variance. So I said then it would be irrelevant even coming to ask for the variance moratorium if it didn't fit on there, because if he could fit 2 on there and it's under 6, then there's no need for anything. He can just go ahead and build his project with fitting the guidelines of that lot.
Right.
So that's where that was, yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying that, I
Yeah.
think that.
So I want to make sure you asked, because that never came about, so.
It's just, it lends some weight to the public, the planning and zoning commissioners being told what the opinion of a council person is.
Didn't lay no weight. I mean, we were discussing. You should have been there. You could
was
have
there,
discussed too.
When I
It's in
go
your
to those,
district,
I
I
don't
think.
get up and give my opinion unless.
I think it's in your
it's
district.
passed. Right, this is my district now, so I'd like to see it pass.
So, here's my other question. Since this was the only information that was provided to them, to make a decision off of this for me, because I'm hearing so many different things and my head is just going back and forth. I understand they're trying to put 6 units. So right now, you could, okay, I want you to ask that question. So if we approve this goes back to planning and zoning is the way I'm interpreting things, or
So
am I wrong?
If they need a variance to build 6, but for the moratorium, so the moratorium's gone. Right now, we're saying we're not worried about the moratorium for this project. If they need some kind of variance, they still have to go ask, correct?
Correct.
There's-
Well, yeah,
it's
it'd
not
be
that
another,
road.
variance.
If
It's
it
a-
doesn't fit if only 4, like Sam thinks it is, they have to go ask for 6 from them. It's not an automatic. We didn't just approve 6 with this. All we're approving is you get to pass go and keep trying.
Councilman, if this lot doesn't fit 6 units, it can't get built unless there's another variance given. All this does is let the developer, the property owner, go forward to submit an application that still must comply with all the rules unless they ask for a variance and a variance is given.
So.
This is not an approval for this project.
Correct. And so this part, and this is part of the case packet that was introduced. So part of the things that we look at when we are reviewing whether the buildings fit, whether they're going to need whether they fit the code, is we look at setbacks, how close the buildings are to the property lines. We look at the overall percentage of building on the full property. We look at the parking that's there. We look at the landscaping that's there. We look at all these things. And if they don't meet all of those, then that's when they have to go to planning and zoning and they have to request a variance. And it's a variance from the code or from the law, so to speak. Right now, we have kind of 2 reviews in place. The first review is there is a moratorium that says no matter what your lot is zoned to allow, you may only have 4 units or fewer. You can't have 5, you can't have 6, you can't have 20 or 30. You can only have 4, up to 4. So right now, that's where this project is. It's at stage 1. It busted up against the moratorium and said, you can't have more than 4. He would like to put 6. He and his architect believe that they can meet all the codes and that they can put up to 6 units on this property. So he would like permission to go forward with a plan of up to 6. Again, that's just step 1. If you all agree to that, then he will then have to go through the full submission process of a site plan, a drainage plan, the building construction plans, and go through fire marshal review and everything that you've got to go through in order to get building permits to move forward. If at any time we say, oh, nope, you don't have the right, whatever it is, then he has to go back through the process and either revise his plans for building or go through planning and zoning and get a variance granted in order to go forward. So if there's anything else that falls out, let's say he gets too close to something, or he doesn't have enough landscaping, or he can't make whatever happen, then he has to go before planning and zoning again and ask for a variance for that. And if they say no, then he has to figure out some other way to build it if he wishes to move forward.
On that page displayed right there, it shows a lot of the restrictions, the significant restrictions for that zone. And then the plan on that page is in compliance with all those restrictions, just for some added measure. But like Lacey said, we're not proposing for acceptance of the site plan.
Well, like I said, that was my concern originally, is whenever we discussed it over there, that the 6 units, it was what your project you proposed would only fit 2, and you would need 6. And my thing was, there's no point in going, don't even go down the variance, because I'm not a promoter of getting variances and things. The rules are in place if you can work your project to not need to ask for variances, because it's just not it's not good to promote that. And so therefore, when I asked that, that was what was discussed on there, that you can only put, 2 of these buildings on there properly and without it. So that was a concern to mine, because I understand that you couldn't put your plans in place without getting a variance for the moratorium because it's 6, but if it only fit 4, then you wouldn't even need to come to us for any variance because you could build your 4 units with the lot. Could fit with that design that you had.
I probably didn't do a good job of explaining the design that we had and that we did fall within the restrictions.
Yeah.
Of that zone.
Because that was,
That was probably my fault.
So Kip, 6 will fit the lot.
All right, is there anyone else from the public on this item? I just hate to. Pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Leon.
Aye.
Councilman Divatario.
aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Thank you.
Could I just make one statement on this? Because this was rather confusing to me. Is there a way that they have to, when they come to planning and zoning, to provide more information? Because this could have, to me, sitting here now, and I might be wrong from the statement I'm about to make, but we just sat here through some time that we didn't really have to sit through if they would have been able to have him to have the proper information when he came, besides just one letter basing their judgment off of it to deny.
Would it still come to us?
It still has to come to the council. To grant a variance from the moratorium, still needs to require council approval.
Okay.
You just get a recommendation from planning and zoning.
But what he's saying, to have more information and
Yeah.
where they can make a decision on things and a more educated decision with more data being provided to them. That's what he's saying
Yeah,
on that.
you're correct.
And there wasn't that at that meeting on a lot of topics, and it wasn't the planning and zoning board members' fault if they're only provided so much information or whatever discussion needed to be. But there was definitely a problem in that meeting because of lack of whatever it was. It wasn't right. I mean, you had buildings being built on Western that didn't have parking designated for, but letting them lease a spot down the road, which I'm all for the school. I'm all for growth on it, but that's not proper. We got issues over there. Did we ever get a meeting set up with the state with that entry over there with the cars and traffic on Western going to 190? I don't think they've taken the sign down yet either, from what I was told when we met over there on the end of Western Oaks on 190 for the traffic. Yeah, and then to take the no turn on red down. I think it's still, huh? Okay, well, there's a problem over there. We need to have a meeting maybe with some of the owners over there and maybe the state engineer to. Yeah. I understand, but there had to be a design there that's going to help traffic flow better, because it's going to continue getting worse over there for those businesses over there, and then with the school growing. Either way, we got to do something proactive. We can't just let it figure it out itself and just hope it works itself out. I mean, it's a problem that's being brought out.
This is what we deal with the state whenever you have intersections. They don't
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would, who do we deal with over there? I'd like to have a meeting with some of the business owners over there that have the issues, and with the representative of the state engineer, I guess, that's over here locally. They have, can we get a meeting set up with that, Lacey?
You can have a meeting and
Yeah.
they'll express, I'm sure, the
Okay.
same thoughts.
Okay.
Are you wanting a
Which is-
meeting with you, or you're wanting a meeting with business people, or?
Yeah, with the business people on the road, and then the owners, and I mean, it'd be nice if somebody with the city administration would be able to join, and to be able to figure out what can we do to improve that area. Yeah, that would be nice. That's where I thought we were leaving with that planning and zoning meeting.
We
Try to,
have spoken to them on several occasions about that location.
okay.
It's the state highway.
Yeah, I understand what it is, the state highway. But there's a lot of problems in there, and they're not going to fix itself if they don't really know what the concerns are with people over there. That's all I'm
They
getting
know the
at.
They
concerns.
understand the
I
concern.
would say the only thing that, and I had to do it with my car wash. I paid for a left turning lane. I paid for the cameras to change the light, and I paid for some cameras. What I think would need to happen would be some of those folks would have to give up some of that property and have a lane that actually turned right and allowed them to start picking up speed to merge. But, I don't know, they have to approve all that. And they're probably not going to pay for it. So those businesses would probably have to step up along with the school or anyone who thinks it's a problem and potentially pay for it.
Reports, Mayor? Council, reports? Lisa, I have one question for you. On industrial, it needs to be restriped. Who do? When they, yeah, right there, where the,
You take a right to go into options. That's kind of like a little shift.
there too, and the, not Maryland, I done went blank, where the Army goes in, National Guard, it's nothing there, and it look like it's a free fall, and it needs to make sure it's striped, but that whole road needs to be restriped. And I think the light on N.A. James still hasn't been replaced. No, it hasn't. It still hasn't. No, it has never been done. I go by there every Saturday morning on my way to the barber shop to check, and I get my hair cut at 6 and it's still dark. So it's either 400, or either 401.
It's wrapped.
It's wrapped.
And
Yeah.
BJ,
It's almost turning colors from the wrap that they put on. Yeah. And I have two other things later, but I'll send you an email on it to see the process of actually doing that. But I think those are the two major things there. Any other council reports? All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Meeting adjourned.